been asked a few times if there's a video on doing how we do our tomato sauce. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do for you today. Pretty simple. I follow the Ball Blue Book canning book. Our book automatically opens to the tomato page. It's used a lot. So for sauce, it's pretty simple. It is a little bit of a long process because you do have to wait for it to cook down. And we do pretty mass amount of tomatoes all at once, but it's really nice to have. So first thing you want to do is wash your tomatoes. You want to get all the dirt, leaves, whatever on the outside off because you don't want that to mix into your sauce, obviously. So those ones are already washed. I do have quite a few sitting on the counter that I had froze that are still in the process of thawing that I will hopefully be adding in a little bit. I have them sitting in the sun, hoping that they'll go ahead and thaw out a little bit more. And then you want to take the core off. I'm going to set my book down. You want to take the core off. You can either use a knife or this is a tomato core. And then this is for the blossom end. So you can use that, whatever's easiest. I've got a couple of tomatoes that have some small spots on it that I'm going to go in and cut off in the process. Quarter it. Throw it in a big pot, and you want to simmer it, and you want to cook it down. You don't want it to boil or be too hot because they'll stick to the bottom, but you want to simmer them so then the tomatoes get soft. From there you use a food mill or a submersion blender or something along those lines to blend it all up and to strain out the seeds and skins. So we're going to be using a food mill. This is the first year that we got this. Mike bought it earlier this year. I've used it twice already and it saves me so much time. What I did previously was I would smash it up, use a submersion blender, mix it up, and then I would run it through a screen strainer over a bowl and use a small ladle and smash it all up to try to get as much meat as I could and then discard the seed and peels. Another thing you can do with the seeds and peels is you can dehydrate them. Mainly we only dehydrate the peels, not the seeds, but you can dehydrate the peels and then grind it up in a pestle and mortar and add it to soups and stews and things like that. It gives the tomato flavor, helps thicken it up a little bit without the chunks of tomatoes. I do not like chunks of tomatoes, so for me that's really convenient. And then from there you want to take what juice and sauce you have, dump it back into a pot, and you want to cook it down to about half, so then your sauce is thickened up and all the liquid and everything has boiled off. So we're going to get started. Like I said, my tomatoes are already washed, so I'm going to start pouring them, quartering them, and throwing them in the pot so we can go ahead and start cooking them to soften them. Okay, so here's my 2 pots of tomatoes minus the frozen ones that I haven't gotten to yet. This one's been cooking down for a few minutes. I keep giving it a good stir. It's a little hard to do one-handed. You're going to stick your hands in there? Oh, you're going to stir it for me?
Yeah, stir it for you, babe.
So you just want to make sure you get down to the bottom so then they don't stick. And what you're looking for is for them to be getting soft. So like some of them obviously are a little bit soft. These are still cold and it's still a little hard to squish the meat. So you want them to be nice and soft before running them through the feed mill or using your submersion blender or however you're gonna smash them up. So my first pot is about ready to go. You can see that there's a lot of liquid that's formed. Tomatoes, the majority of them are nice and soft. There might be a couple in there that are still a little hard, so I might have to flop them over into to that pot to cook down just a little bit more. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the food mill. So one thing that I've figured out is that right here on the edge of the screen part, sometimes the seed and skin will slip down this edge. So I put a paper plate there. Usually it's just sitting like this, and that helps it just flop into the bowl so I don't end up with any skin or seeds. I don't have a higher spot that I can put this or a short bowl or anything, so I just use a cake pan, and when it fills up I dump it in the pot to go ahead and start boiling down. This food mill, Mike saw Eric from Life and Farmland use it, and so he had to get one. So it's the NorPro Sauce Master. It comes with the standard screen for doing sauce, but you can get different attachments for it to do other items. So you could get a salsa screen, a pumpkin screen, and a berry screen to go with it. It's pretty easy to assemble, pretty easy to use, and it does make straining tomatoes easier in our opinion. But also the tomatoes that we use for sauce we get from Baker Creek. They are Goldman's Italian American tomatoes. I can put a link to that in the description, but we have grown those for the past couple of years and use them for sauce, and I really enjoy those ones for sauce. I don't season my sauce at all. I like to keep it just as tomato sauce, so then it's versatile for any meal. Whether it's, I can throw a can into chili, or if I want to make spaghetti or a different pasta dish, or add some to a stew. That way I don't have to worry about what flavor is what. I can do whatever it is that I want with it. So we've tried other tomatoes in the past for sauce. We used Roma tomatoes the first year, and it was too sweet. We didn't care for it at all. So we've switched to this, and this is one that we do really enjoy using for sauce. If you have another idea that you've used for sauce, please let us know. We are interested in growing other tomatoes and trying them out for sure. But so far, this is the one that we have stuck with. As you can see, the juice and the meat flows down here, and at this end you have your squished seeds and peels. So that will be discarded, and then when this fills up, until I have one of my pots emptied, then I'm going to just dump it into bowls and my other pot, and then when I have a pot emptied up, then I'll go ahead and start cooking that down. But I'm going to keep filling this and get some more going. All right, here's my sauce boiling down. It's got to go, I'm going to reduce it about half, so there'll be kind of like a foam line right here when it starts to go down. Same with here. And when it gets to about half its volume, I'll check to see if I think it's thick enough or if it needs to continue stirring occasionally along the way. And once it's reduced, then we can move on to canning. So it's taken all day. It's dark outside. It's taken all day but our sauce is finally cooked down. And so we're gonna go ahead and start canning. So for that, you need to use either citric acid or lemon juice. I typically use citric acid, but I'm out and I haven't been able to find any. So stick with lemon juice. I'm doing quart jars, so I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of lemon juice per quart jar. And then I'm just going to ladle the hot sauce into the jar and leave 1/2-inch headspace. Remove the air bubbles. Clean the rim of the jar. Place my lid and ring on it and go put it in the water bath that's starting to warm up on the stove. So I'm just going to place it in the rack so then it can heat up with the water. And then when I'm done, put the rack down in the water, bring it to a boil. And for our elevation, we have to do quarts for 45 minutes. The book says 40, but we have to increase ours because of our elevation. So. Alright, here's my 7 quarts. Gonna go ahead and lower the rack down in here. I have water heating up. It's not hot yet, but it's getting there. So I'm gonna lower the rack and put the lid on and let it go ahead and warm up and come to a boil. You do want your water level to be about 1 inch above the top of the jars. So we'll go ahead and put our lid on, bring it to a boil, and then start our timer for 45 minutes. Alright, so here's my 7 quarts. They are done. After the 45 minutes was up, I turned the canner off, took the lid off, wait 5 minutes before removing them from the water. So now I'm going to just take them out of the rack and move them onto a towel so they can dry. They need to, or not dry, but cool. They need to cool for at least 12 hours before like checking the rings and seals. You'll see that there's white stuff on the outside of the jar. That's just from our water. You can add vinegar to the canner to prevent that. We don't, simply because we don't care. So the jars get wiped down before going on the shelf. It takes care of it at that point. And there we have it. There's your jars. Tomato sauce. Yumminess.